If I came to you and asked you which is better for effective communication, is it PowerPoint or storypoint? What would you say? I don't know about you, but I'm going to say it is storypoint. Hi, my name is Gideon Fomukwai, the story warrior. I believe that a lot can be done with story. Yes, PowerPoint is valuable, but way too many people over dependent on PowerPoint to the point whereby they can't even make a point without PowerPoint. I find that to be ludicrous. I find that to be absolutely irresponsible because it's not every single day that you always have your PowerPoint with you. But first, you may be saying, who are you? What do you know about this topic? All right, come back with me to Singapore 2004. I was standing up in front of an audience of well over 300 people. I was talking about emergency readiness and I was leaning in on my PowerPoint when suddenly there was a power outage, which by the way is very, very rare at the Science Park where I was delivering that presentation. When suddenly there was a power cut and OMG, everybody was staring at me like, Mr. Emergency Readiness guy, what are you going to do now? Your PowerPoint is out. Power is out. What are you going to do? Thank God I was well prepared. And I stood forward. I said, all right, we've been talking about emergency preparedness. This power failure is a true test of preparedness. It's a true test of readiness. Let's continue the conversation. And I continued to talk, continued to narrate, continued to present for about 3 to 5 minutes before power was reinstalled. I can tell you this, that day, someone pulled me to the side after that, was very impressed that I did not lose control of myself. And I could have lost control of myself if I weren't prepared. I say that to say, if you are using PowerPoint, please do not be so dependent on it so much so that if it doesn't operate, you cannot deliver your message. Are there times when I've done that? Yes, but it's not right. I am fortunate that on that day, I was prepared, I was ready, and I was able to roll with the punches. And at the end of the day, someone pulled me to the side, as I mentioned, and he offered me a job. Oh yes, a job. I think it came from a place of this guy's got some substance. I thought he was going to fall flat on his face, but he was able to carry through. Do you know what carried me through? It was story point. I understood the rest of the slides. I also had stories that went alongside, complementing, and I was able to carry on just like nothing had happened. And that emphasizes the power of story point. If you are well prepared, if I am well prepared, we can shift the PowerPoint to the side and lean on our story point, because our story point allows us to do 3 things that PowerPoint doesn't quite enable you to do. It's not designed for that. The first thing that story point enables you to do is capture the emotions. For example, fear. I sometimes have talked about the fact that I was using a knife to chop something on the sliding board, when all of a sudden, instead of chopping the item, I chopped off part of my skin, and until this day I have this scar here. And it reminds me that wherever there's a scar, there is a story that is waiting to be told. The only question is, do you have the story, and do you have the point that comes from there that you can share to allow other people to feel the fear, feel the excitement, feel the happiness that you have experienced? So yes, emotions come in when you use stories. That is a little bit difficult to elicit with PowerPoint. Second, very important one that I want to talk about in terms of the power of storypoint and not PowerPoint is connection. Oh yes, you can connect with an audience by sharing a common experience. Take for example something as simple as feeding a baby, something that most people have experienced. Take for example something as simple as sharing coffee, something that most people have experienced. That is something you can talk about. We were sitting on the coffee table. We were having chocolate muffins. We were talking about our youthful days, a lot of nostalgia. We just felt a strong connection, even though we were meeting for the first time. And yes, you can use elements of vulnerability, whereby you're saying, I was trying to be a little bit careful not to make any spill over. Turns out, at the end of the day, even though I was trying to be so careful, there was a little spill and it messed up my shirt. Guess what? At that moment, you're demonstrating authenticity authenticity. The other person will look at you and say, well, you know what? You are actually authentic. Yes, you're authentic. You're someone I can trust. You're someone that I can absolutely relate to. That connection, that moment through vulnerability cements the bond, strengthens the bond, and you can look into each other's eyes and say, this is someone with whom I can share as many coffee dates as possible. So emotion, connection, and then the third and last one that I want to share within the confines of this time is immersion. Immersion is taking someone with you to the place where you have been, taking someone with you to help them see and feel what you were feeling, what you were seeing. In my case, I have dozens of examples, but there's one that comes to my mind. The little boy and her mother woke up early in the morning. Outside was freezing cold. Each one of them carried a huge basket. They stepped out to a distant market, up through the mountains, down through the valleys, in through the forest, and out through several rivers. Now, hold that thought for a moment. Could you picture a huge basket? Could you picture an older woman with a little boy going up a mountain, down through the valley, in through the forest, out through rivers? Maybe you can't quite picture rivers, but it's something that happened to me. What I was doing there is transport you, take you to somewhere that I've been and make you feel like a fly on the wall. Because when you're a fly on the wall, you can see, you can feel, the five senses come alive. I did enact a little bit of imagery. I didn't enact so much the smells, but a little bit of sounds and sights. That is a little bit of immersion, not completely done, but just a little twist of it. So I want to conclude by saying, if you are serious about effective communication, you have to take storypoint more seriously than just PowerPoint. In fact, PowerPoint is for the lazy. When PowerPoint fails, what else do you have? Think about it this way. If Martin Luther King Jr. had given I have a dream speech by saying click, click with PowerPoint and the next point and the next point, do you think we'll remember that speech today? Absolutely not. The reason we remember that speech today is because he used emotions, he used connection, he used immersion, he used a sense of urgency, and all of that is embodied in storypoint, not in PowerPoint. This is Gideon Fomokwai, the story warrior, inviting to dare to tell your story, because you never know whom your story will touch, encourage, or uplift. Thank you. I see you at the top with your story.